Hello and welcome to Twisted Tales Live. I am your host, Bryn Morgan. Do you like dark fairy tales? Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Come on in. I'll be right back. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, that looks so cute. Come on in. How is everyone doing? Hello. I see you all. How are you doing? I did not. Hold on. Let me do that.
Things to be rewritten or
Hold on just a moment. Just setting a goal. If it will let me. I think it will. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, can you see it now? Hello, hello, hello. I think it's definitely giving off a very magical vibe tonight. I can see it if I've got my tablet open, so I'll be able to see any gifting that comes in on here. Hello, hello. Yep, a black cat, 2 sparkly wands. I'm falling in love with Streamlabs. I have worked on it all day long. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. I think it looks pretty. I like it. Yep, I can see them on here. We are going down a rabbit hole tonight. Hey Tracy. Hello Bling Queen. Hello Lulu. Hey Melanie. Hey Justine. Hey Love. Hello Zoe Ann. Hey Tardak. Hey Tara. Hey Shirley. Hey X. Hey Mia. Okay, I can see the gifting on here. I can also see where the goal is, so we're good. I'll be right back. I don't know how much of the gown that you'll be able to see, but I'm going to show it to you. Black. Black. Welcome in. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Alicia, Indiana girl. I need a new pillow. Hello. Come on in. Hello, Owen. Hey, Kimmy. Why, thank you, Justine. Two minutes. Hey, Nana Sherry. Owen, do you like dark fairy tales? Look at my little black cats. Aren't they cute? Hey, Kelly. Hey, Rebecca. We're away from hitting our first live goal. Hello, Chariot of Fire. You love fairy tales? Oh, good. Hello, Jackie O'Connell. Hey, Angie Locke. Hey, Ashmarine. Hey, Kimmy over there. Hey, Kelly over in YouTube. Hello. Whew, it is hot in South Carolina today. Hey, Anna Potter, how are you? Hey, Alabama. Hey, Truth Positive. Hey, Nikki Monroe. Owen, welcome. I believe you've been with us once before, Owen. Welcome back. All right, time to bring it down. Thank you for the FYP. Hello, Kathy Mitchell. 3 away from the live goal. Let's get those likes up tonight. They were low last night. Low. Let's make a goal. 200K by intermission. Can we do it? Hello, Michelle. Hey, Mitchell. Two away from the live goal. Let's start sharing. Share it with friends. Share it with family. 5 friends, 10 friends. Let's get it out there. Let's get it going. Let's start tapping that screen, because the more you tap, the more the TikTok algorithm is going to pick up on it. It's going to push it out to the FYP. So let's go. My name is Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author. I'm also a teller of every kind of scary story you can imagine. One of the kinds of stories that I love are fairy tales. But I'm going to put a twist. I mean, after all, it is Twisted Tales Live. So I'm going to do a dark fairy tale. And tonight's fairy tale is Alice in Wonderland. One of my favorites. And hopefully yours too. I am also known as the Night Queen. This is my night realm, and you are my night dwellers. We have a way of how we go into story time here. Follow along if you wish. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light a candle to chase the shadows away. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. Let me see in the comments. I'm ready for story time. Good evening, night dwellers. Good evening, night dwellers. I am the Night Queen, and tonight I carry you not down a rabbit hole, but through a crack in the mirror, into a place that learned our names before we were born. They called it Wonderland once, as if naming a monster could blunt its teeth. But you and I know better. Wonder is the gentlest word we use for things that devour us slowly. Tonight's girl is Alice. She is not the bright-eyed wanderer you remember. She is a listening wound. Curious, yes, but also hungry. Rooms remember her footsteps. Teacups remember her mouth. Cards remember her pulse. And as for the queen, well, she remembers the taste of every secret ever told in the dark. As I speak, I want you to watch your reflection in your screen, in your window, in the dark gleam of your coffee or your wine. If you see a flicker that isn't yours, do not look twice. The door opens when we stare too long. Breathe with me. Good. Night dwellers, take my hand, and do not let go until the last candle chokes. We are going somewhere that smells like rain in a locked attic, tastes like iron on the tongue, feels like velvet that hides weapons, looks like lullabies starved of light, and sounds like a nursery rhyme sung backward. Now step through into my version of Alice in Wonderland. Chapter 1: The Shattered Mirror. The mirror had been cracked for weeks. Alice watched herself in it every dusk, the fault line running through her right eye like a silver river. The glass tasted of dust when she licked her finger and wiped away a fogged oval to see more clearly. Taste, faint and chalky, like old pages. The frame was cold oak. Touch splintered in places where she worried at it without noticing. Behind her, the smell of lavender left too long in an old drawer, dried to a brittle perfume, and the sound was rain arguing with the gutter, thin, metallic, relentless. Her room looked ordinary by lamplight. Blue quilt, a porcelain doll with one eyelash missing, books that had learned to keep their stories closed. Yet the sight of her own face, half her, half seam, made her heart step wrong. "Are you coming?" whispered the crack, not in words, but with the eagerness of anything that wants to widen. Come. She pressed her ear to the glass. It was cool, almost damp, as if breath were waiting on the other side. A soft exhale from nowhere. The mirrors suddenly smelled of river stones and moss, a smell that doesn't belong indoors. The lamp guttered, the rain slowed, the doll's porcelain teeth clicked softly together. Alice smiled, the way one smiles at a stray cat with blood on its muzzle. She lifted the mirror from the wall. Behind it, the plaster buckled, and beneath the plaster, a hole, black and cordial, the kind of darkness that introduces itself by stepping closer than it should. She could almost taste it, like pennies and smoke. When she touched the rim, the hole, black. When she touched the rim, the hole pulsed warm, like a throat clearing, eager. Touch, damp velvet. Coming, she said. The word tasted like ink. She stepped forward barefoot. Her soles learned the cold of the floor, the gritty grain of fallen plaster. She pressed her forehead to the seam, and the seam opened like a mouth. The room receded in a rush of moths, fluttering wings tapering them out. The mirror drank her, slow and polite, as if savoring. Hold on, I'm just setting another live goal. Just bear with me one moment.
I'm gonna ruffle some feathers when I say this.
There we go. Sorry about that. Play. The scent of wilted lilies clung to the air like a funeral procession. Somewhere far off, a clock ticked in reverse. Alice stood in the garden again, a place that only bloomed in her dreams. The roses here bled red, not from paint, but from wounds. Their petals curling like the edges of torn flesh. The grass was wet beneath her bare feet, not with dew, but something thicker, sticky, metallic. Her pale fingers trembled as she brushed her tangled blonde hair from her face. The wind whispered her name through the trees. Alice. It dragged like syllables, like dead leaves across the forest floor. She turned. The world behind her was colorless. Home was a shadow. Her mind, a broken mirror. She heard a voice whispered to her, "You don't belong here, Alice. You never did." She saw the rabbit again. Not the white, fluffy creature from nursery rhymes and innocent books. No, this one stood upright. Its fur scorched black like it had crawled through fire. Its eyes were vast, hollow voids, bottomless and blinking in opposite directions. Around its neck hung a broken timepiece, its hands frozen at the 13th hour. Its claws ticked against the ground like bone on stone. Alice was curious, and she followed it. She didn't think. Her body moved like it wasn't hers. She stumbled forward into the brush, leaves tearing at her nightdress, tree limbs creaking like gallows overhead. The smell changed. No longer flowers, but sulfur, rot, and something sweet beneath it, like burned sugar. "Where are we going?" she asked aloud, though she knew better than to expect an answer. The rabbit didn't speak. It grinned in a sinister way, and then it vanished, gone, swallowed by the earth. That's when she saw the hole. It wasn't nestled between a tree like in the old stories. No. This one was cracked into the earth like a wound. Jagged, open, breathing. Black vines curled out of it like fingers. And there was a sound coming from within like lullabies being sung backward. Have you ever heard a lullaby sing backward? It's chilling. Alice dropped to her knees, dirt wedged beneath her nails. "Hold on! You're going too fast!" Her heart thundered in her throat like war drums. Just one moment. Have a little bit of an emergency. 1 second. All right, we should be good now. Her heart thundered in her throat like war drums. She leaned in, and the world behind her tilted. The sky groaned. The garden blurred into ash and shadow. All right, Alice. No going back this time. And with that, she fell. The descent wasn't gentle. She didn't float. She plummeted. Wind howled past her ears like screams bottled in glass. The tunnel was alive, pulsing, breathing. Thorn-covered bookshelves twisted along the walls, their spines whispering words in languages she'd never known, but somehow understood. Mirrors snapped like jaws. Portraits of grinning faces melted as she passed. She tried to grab something, anything, but the walls pulled away from her, just out of reach. And then, silence. No landing, just a sudden stillness. She was on her knees, surrounded by a thick, dense white fog. Beneath her, checkered marble tiles, chipped and bloodied. The walls dripped with condensation, or was it tears, perhaps? It was a hallway, a long, endless hallway. Dozens of doors lined the walls, each one carved with strange symbols. Some bled when touched. Others whispered secrets in cracked voices. The ceiling above her bent and stretched like taffy in a dream. Alice stood, her knees shaking. What is this place? And then a sound, faint, tingling. Tick-tock, giggle, thump. From behind one of the doors came the sound of weeping. From another, laughter. One door swung open. It did not creak. It screamed. Alice turned to face it. It was painted blue, a beautiful shade of blue, but not a sky that she'd ever seen. This sky was sick, bruised, too low, too heavy. A voice came from within. Welcome, Alice. We've been waiting. Chapter 2, The Garden of Grins. Listen closely, and you might hear the soft chime of a bell, followed by a low garden wind and the flutter of unseen wings. Alice stepped through the open door and into madness. The floor beneath her feet was no longer marble. It was soft, spongy, like decaying moss, and warm like the back of something breathing. The air had changed again. It smelled like roses, but rotten ones, like flowers left too long on a grave, sweet and cloying, masking something fouler beneath it. A thin mist curled across the garden floor, glowing faintly like moonlight caught in cobwebs. She couldn't see the sky, only a ceiling of tangled roots and thorns that dripped black sap, thick as blood. Then came the smiles. They floated in midair before she ever saw the faces, just rows of sharp teeth, wide and curved, as if grinning at her from the shadows. The scent of mint and mold swirled. Laughter echoed. No source, no body, just laughter. "Careful where you tread, dear Alice," said a voice. "The flowers bite if they like you." "Ha ha ha!" She turned and looked. The speaker was a cat. No, a shadow, shaped like a cat. Its body was fur and fog, constantly shifting. It had no eyes, only holes in the shape of them, and its grin stretched from ear to ear, filled with small, dagger-like teeth that pulsed with pale light. "This way leads to wonder, Alice," he said, tail flicking into existence. "That way leads to horror. Then again, aren't they really the same?" Alice's voice was sharp and disoriented. "Who are you?" The cat's voice was purring and amused. "I was once called Cheshire, but now I am what's left behind when the laughter dies." It blinked out of sight. Alice spun, breath catching in her throat. The garden was moving. The hedges twisted like snakes, curling upward, blocking the path behind her. Thorn vines slithered across the ground, rearranging the trail beneath her feet. Each flower she passed turned to look at her, faces blooming from their centers. Not happy faces. Terrified faces. One lily had eyes like cracked glass. Another daisy whispered, "She's here! She's here! She's here!" over and over again until Alice screamed, "Please stop saying that! Why do you keep repeating that?" The flowers fell silent for a moment. Then they began to giggle uncontrollably. "Everything here remembers, Alice," said the cat again, now curled in a tree that hadn't been there before. "Even the dirt knows your name." "But I've never been here." "Not in this life." She stepped backward and the garden retaliated. Vines snapped up and wrapped around her ankles. A branch whipped toward her face, missing by inches. The flowers screamed in unison like a choir of porcelain dolls being shattered. The air turned sharp and cold. She ran. The garden snarled behind her. Roots rose like arms. Petals became mouths. The laughter twisted into howls and cries. Then silence. She was in a clearing now. It was perfectly round, like it had been carved by a blade. And at its center stood a statue. A girl. She looked and stepped closer. The statue was of Alice. The statue was of her. Same face, same blonde hair, same blue dress. Only this version had no eyes. They'd been gouged out. Cracks ran from the corners of its mouth like veins, and carved into the statue's chest, crudely, violently, was one word. Canedra. Alice blinked. The name sparked something inside her, though what, she didn't know. What does it mean? I don't understand at all. From behind the statue, a figure emerged. It wore no shoes. It wore no skin. Just a coat of stitched petals and a crown of thorns pressed into its head. It was blank, eyeless, mouthless, but he pointed to a door in the hedge. Alice turned. The door wasn't there before. She could swear by it. It was made of white bone and hung crookedly in the air, as if held by strings. Carved across it in thorny script, it said, "Speak the name to pass." She looked at the statue again. She didn't know what possessed her, but she whispered, "Canetra." And immediately the door groaned open. And from beyond it came the sound of screaming. The bone door creaked open like a rib cage splitting, and Alice stepped through. The air changed again, heavy, oily, like old meat left in the sun, and cinnamon, sickeningly sweet and thick enough to choke on. She gagged, lifting her sleeve to her face. The room before her was long, endless, a great banquet hall of sorts, but nothing like the feast of fairy tales. No warm lights, no golden goblets, just a warped table stretching out into the darkness, sagging under the weight of rot and revelry. Teacups stacked like towers, each one filled with black sludge. Cakes molded over in green fuzz, crawling with silver-eyed beetles. Spoons twisted into knots. Candlesticks weeping black wax down blood-slicked holders. And seated at the head of the table, a man leapt onto the table and screamed, "It's time!" He wore a hat, a tall cracked thing speckled with pins and writhing vines. His eyes were 2 different sizes. His teeth, far too many. His coat was made of torn napkins and butterfly wings. Time, 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 time. What a slippery little serpent she is. Come to tea, Alice. Come to truth. Alice's voice was cautious. You're the Hatter. The Hatter laughed. Once! Now I'm the hourglass. Tick and talk and top me off, I'll spill your secrets into the stew. He danced down the table toward her, stepping on cracked plates and rotted tarts. His shadow twisted behind him, lagging just a second too slow. At his heels, a hare twitched, dead-eyed and wearing a child's bonnet, clutching a broken spoon like a weapon. Other guests were seated, but none of them breathed. One had no skin. One had no face. One had a tea kettle melted to his skull, and still the Hatter poured. Don't be rude, child. Sit, sip, say what you seek. The chair behind her pulled itself out. Alice sat. The cup in front of her twitched. Steam rose from it, thick and black and screaming. Faces swirled in the liquid. One looked like hers. I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand any of this at all. Of course you don't. That's why it's working, Alice. The lights above flickered, hanging lanterns swaying with no wind, casting long, warped shadows that crept up the walls like ink spills. The table began to shake, the plates groaned, the candle hissed. Why am I here? Please, someone tell me why I'm here. The Hatter dropped to his knees beside her. He leaned in close, so close she could smell his breath, honey, and a very unpleasant decay. You were chosen, my dear. chosen by the spindle queen, chosen by the old roots, chosen by the name that whispers. You left the world behind, and Wonderland is very hungry. They wanted you back. I didn't choose anything, but your blood remembers, even if you don't. Ha ha ha! He stood. He clapped his hands. The room shifted. Walls pulled back. Ceiling cracked open. Thunder rolled from the sky made of bone and glass. The guests turned in unison, their faces melting, their mouths open wide to screaming unison. Canedra! 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 Alice fell from her chair. The floor beneath her became liquid. The table sank, and then blackness. When she opened her eyes, she was lying in a shallow stream of ink. The water shimmered with stars. The forest around her was dead. There was no living thing. Trees split open, revealing mechanical innards ticking and twitching. She pulled herself up. The Hatter was gone, but his voice echoed. Tick-tock, tick-tock, your time is bleeding, Alice. Ahead of her, a sign, split down the middle. One hat read, to the Queen, the other, to yourself. She stood shivering, soaked in starlight and fear. She chose a path. We are almost at this live goal, everyone. Thank you so much. My cushion keeps slipping. This queen needs a throne. Terribly. Oh, son of a peanut. There. I'll take care of this tomorrow night. The path that Alice chose was jagged. Stone stairs rose from the soil, each one carved with strange runes that whispered as she stepped on them. The further she climbed, the more the trees bent away from her, as if they dared not touch what lay ahead. The scent of rust filled the air. No, not rust. It was something else. Alice didn't know it, but it was blood. The sky turned crimson above her. Clouds dripped like torn curtains. Crows called in reverse, and thorns emerged from the earth like bones erupting from a shallow grave. At the top of the stairway, a gate loomed, iron, twisted into a crown of thorns. It opened with a shriek, not by a touch, but by recognition. The queen knew that she had arrived. Beyond the gate, a courtyard of red. Roses grew in unnatural rows, petals sharp as razors. The stone tiles beneath her feet were cracked and blood-stained. The statues along the walls were all of women, headless, armless, or weeping black tears. And at the end of it all, a throne of blades, and upon it sat the Red Queen. So, this is the girl who fell. Her gown was stitched from veils of skin and spider silk. Her crown pierced her skull, threads of blood running down her cheeks like war paint. Her eyes were not eyes, just red light, pulsing like lanterns through smoke. You are not what I expected. But then again, neither was I. Alice's voice cracked, timid but bolding. Who are you? The Queen stood. She did not walk, she glided, her feet never touching ground, the thorns parting before her like worshippers before a god. The Queen's voice was haunting and seductive. I am the law here, the blood, the blade, the final word. Alice was braver now. No, you're not real. The Queen paused, tilted her head. Neither are you. The Queen raised her hand. The garden came alive. Roses uncurled into claws. Petals pulled back to reveal screaming faces. Vines shot up around Alice's feet, coiling, tugging, tightening. The Queen circled her. Her voice was low and cruel. You trespass, little shade. You dream in a realm that remembers every dreamer who dared make it bleed. And now the game begins. With a snap of her fingers, the courtyard shifted. The throne vanished. The sky split. The tiles beneath Alice's feet formed a giant chessboard. Figures emerged, living statues carved of bone and smoke. One was a pawn with a child's face and hollow eyes. One was a knight made of stitched wolves. Another, a bishop with knives for fingers. Alice stood on the board's center square. One move at a time, one life per step. The rules were unclear. The pieces hissed and snarled. The board burned cold beneath her. Alice tried to run. The Queen laughed. There is no escape from this game, girl. You must play or be played. Alice's voice was high and panicked. What do you want from me? The Queen's voice was soft as silk and cruel as razors. I want what Wonderland wants, dearest Alice. You're unraveling. The first piece moved. A knight. Its hooves struck sparks on the stone. Alice dodged. A rook shattered beside her, its body exploding into crows. Blood sprayed, not hers, yet. The Queen clapped. She was sing-song and mad. Check. Mate. The ground cracked. The chessboard caved in. Alice fell again. Falling was her only constant now. She landed on her knees, this time in a circle of mirrors. All around her, reflections of herself, but each one was wrong. One wept blood. One had no mouth. One grinned with the Red Queen's smile. Alice stumbled back, her breathing ragged. A mirror behind her cracked, and from it, a voice. A childlike whisper, eerily familiar. She's waking up. A second whisper, hissing. She never should have come back. And then the mirror shattered. 1,000 shards, 1,000 versions of herself, all screaming. The fall ended with the gasp. Alice landed in a room of whispers. She could hear them all around her, tiny voices, childlike, mocking, muttering riddles and fragmented rhymes. The air was thick with moisture, clinging to her skin like a breath. The smell was suffocating, wet wood, old iron, and something sour, like old milk, curdled in the heat. The walls were alive. They moved. She squinted into the gloom. The entire room, floor, ceiling, every inch of space was covered in hands. Not drawings, not carvings, hands. Hundreds of them, small and large. Pale, rotting, gloved, raw, stitched. Some dangled from the ceiling like butcher's meat. Others lined the walls, embedded at the wrist, twitching softly like sleeping spiders. They patted, tapped, trembled. Alice staggered back. No, this isn't real. One hand caressed her cheek. She screamed. It wasn't violent, but it wasn't gentle either. The fingers were cold, familiar. The floor beneath her shifted with slithering friction. She stepped carefully, each movement triggering a wave of fingers. They reached for her, not with malice, but need, desperation. A voice echoed from above, hollow, amused. She touches everything, but knows nothing. Alice turned. A figure stood in the far corner, nearly camouflaged against the writhing wall. A woman, dressed in blue satin robes, tattered at the hem. Her face was veiled in lace, but behind it something glowed. She had no eyes, just hands, dozens of them sprouting from her back like wings, tiny ones, some her own. The woman's voice was sing-song and slightly offbeat. Tell me, Alice, do your hands remember what your mind has erased? Alice's voice was afraid but defiant. Who are you? The woman's voice slowed and became reverent. I am the collector. I keep what they forget. Every touch, every slap, every stolen grasp. She extended one of the hands from her back. It was severed at the wrist. It writhed. Do you want yours back, Alice? Mine? The collector reached behind her and pulled out a mirror, clouded, broken at the edges. Alice looked. Her reflection was not complete. Her hands were missing. In their place, blurred smudges, like someone had erased her from existence piece by piece. What is this place? The place between forgetting and remembering, between innocence and intention. Suddenly all the hands turned toward her, 100 open palms breaching, grasping, demanding. They began to crawl over each other, over the walls, over her. Alice screamed and ran. The hands followed. Down the hallway, clapping, slapping, tapping the ground like 1,000 insects. She found a door, but there was no knob, only a hand. A severed, twitching hand embedded in the wood. It opened its palm, and inside an eye blinked. Then the door closed. and then it opened again. She stepped inside. The room was smaller, quieter. A single lantern glowed dimly, revealing a table of objects, a sewing needle, a broken key, a bloody ribbon, a child's tooth. A sign above it read, "Choose to remember." What do I remember? The collector's voice came again, whispering and echoing through the room. "The truth is in the touch." Alice picked up the ribbon. It was cold, stiff. It smelled like lavender and smoke. Suddenly she had visions, flashes. A girl with blonde hair and a blue dress tied to a chair. Firelight, screaming, her hands trembling, her name whispered not in love but in command. Canedra. She dropped it, collapsed, and the room dissolved. When her eyes opened, she was back in the forest, but the trees were different now. Dead, blackened, hollow, each one filled with eyes watching, waiting, and in the distance a ticking sound returned. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tock, tick-tock, 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 tick. The Hatter was near. We'll take an intermission there, and when we come back, we will do the second half of Alice in Wonderland, the dark fairy tale version. I'll be right back. Oh, that's so much better. How's it going? Hello, Bobby. This chair is sinking really bad. I think it's about to break. Hello, legend. Hello, Patricia. Are you enjoying the version of Alice in Wonderland? Thank you, Pastelina. Have to turn it down to change the goal. Hang tight with me. Thank you so much for the gifts tonight. Thank you, thank you. Where are they? Where's the hearts? There they are. They keep moving the hearts around. Not sure why. There we go. Awesome. Hello, Missy. How are you? I have always loved dark fairy tales. Always. Thank you so much for the subscriptions. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. You just blow my mind. Every night you blow my mind. Let's give it a few more minutes for people to make popcorn. Oh, I'm going to put a dark spin on every fairy tale. Let me investigate this chair for a second. I don't know why it's doing that. That's better. That's much better. I'll do it. I will do a dog version of Peter Pan. Absolutely. They're all coming. Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Hansel and Gretel, Little Red Riding Hood. You name it, it's on my list. I need something, Nikki, because I keep slipping and I don't know why. Oh, I love Beauty and the Beast. It is just absolutely amazing. Good. I'm glad that y'all are embracing that y'all are embracing dark fairy tales. There's dark romance coming, dark fairy tales. This chair is pathetic. It is so bad. I am falling down the rabbit hole, Magic. Yes, I am falling. If I fall, do not laugh at me. 250K. Very good. You went beyond what I was expecting. So thank you so much. Let's have a 400K night. There's no reason that we can't. Let's have a 4K night. 400K. It will take some work, but the work will be with it and worth it. We've got this, Julie. One more minute. Hello, O'Connell. O'Connell, do you like scary stories? Nine more twisted trinkets and a third life goal will be met. It did get worse, X. Now my eyes are yellow. It switched. Yeah, Sherry, Beauty and the Beast is my favorite. I love it. And I love Sleeping Beauty too. It passed. It passed. From one eye to the next. This is how I will look forever. If you would like, you can go ahead and just kind of post in the comments the dark fairy tales that you would like to hear, and just let me know. Let my night watchers know, and I'll put it on my list. Hansel and Gretel, that's one of my favorites. I'm gonna be so evil and witchy with that one. Oh, you're gonna get your werewolf. Don't worry about that. If you are just coming in, you have entered the Night Realm. I am the Night Queen, and this is my night dwellers who have came together for a dark fairy tale. Tonight I am telling my dark version of Alice in Wonderland. Do you like scary stories? You do? Then welcome. But first, let's get back into story mode. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Is your candle still lit? Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. Chapter 6. The Clockmaker's War. The forest was dead. Not in the way that trees die, but hollow, cored out. Black bark split wide like mouths, bleeding sap that ticked as it fell. Each drop striking stone with the precision of a pendulum. The path before Alice was paved in shattered watch faces. Time was broken here. It always had been. Alice moved slowly now. Her feet crunched on seconds, her breath fogged in reverse. In the distance, a tower rose, crooked, iron-spined. Its gears jutted out like bones, and at its peak, a massive clock face, splintered and twitching. Its hands spun backward, then forward, then stopped, then screamed. Time was screaming in Wonderland. The tower's bell tolled, but no sound came. Only pressure. A pulse that made Alice's teeth ache and her eyes water. She stepped into the clockmaker's room. Inside was a cathedral of machinery. Gears larger than houses turned sluggishly above her. Chains thick as trees hung from the ceiling, each ending in a broken pocket watch, swinging like pendulums of forgotten lives. The air was thick with oil, dust, and ash, and sorrow. Alice whispered to herself, Where am I? From the darkness he emerged. The clockmaker. He was more machine than man, his torso a great ticking engine with ribs of brass. His eyes, lenses shattered in the center, glowing with the fading warmth of once human eyes. Clogs clicked where his jaw once was. A key jutted from his back, turning slowly, slowly. The clockmaker's voice was heavy, metallic, and slow. You have come too early, or far too late. Who are you? The clockmaker's dragging voice sounded like rust. I am the one who remembers what the Queen deletes. I am the keeper of what was. And you, my dearest Alice, are the fracture. He turned. A giant clock stood behind him, but the numbers were just all wrong. They weren't numbers at all. They were names. Alice saw hers 3 times, spelled differently each time. Alice, Alice, and Canedra. Why do you call me Canedra here? That is not my name. My name is Alice, the clockmaker said with sorrow. Because she made you, and unmade you, and made you again. He pointed. A massive wall of mirrors rotated around the chamber. Each reflection showed her older, younger, in a gown, in rags, with blood on her hands, with wings on her back. You are not one, Alice. You are all of them. Suddenly the tower began to shake. Sirens screamed from nowhere. The gears above began to spin violently, sending sparks raining down like fireflies. The clockmaker's key turned faster. His jaw clicked. She's found you. She's rewriting the timeline even as we speak. What do I do? What do I do? You run. Chains dropped. Figures descended. Queen's guards, but not soldiers. Time beast. Human forms stitched from watches, blades, and bones. Their mouths were sealed with wire. Their eyes were placed with hourglass. They swarmed. Alice turned and ran, down spiraling staircases, through corridors that looped back on themselves. One room aged her skin. One room made her a child again. One room spoke with her mother's voice, but her mother's voice was dead. Alas, she reached the tower's base. A hallway opened, white marble, black veins. At the end, a door shaped like a coffin, locked with a riddle etched in gold. She touched the surface. The riddle read, if time eats all, and truth eats time, what remains when you remember your name? She spoke it. Not Alice, not Alice, not Alice, but she whispered it slowly. Canedra. The door creaked. The time beast shrieked behind her. She slipped through just as the tower collapsed. She awoke somewhere else. She was kneeling in a chamber of keys, endless keys, all floating, and all of them bleeding. And in the center, her reflection. It looked just like her, except for the smile. The smile belonged to the Queen. Chapter 7. The Mirror Grave. She stood in a graveyard of mirrors. Not tombstones, not earth. Just endless mirrors reaching into every direction, floating, hanging, buried in the floor, some cracked, some whole, some dripping blood from their frames like open wounds. The air was sharp, not cold, sharp, like breathing in slivers of regret. The sky above was mirrored too, reflecting her back at herself no matter where she turned. And every reflection was wrong. In one, she was eyeless. In another, her jaw was missing. In another still, she wore the Red Queen's crown. Alice's voice was a terrified whisper. "These aren't me." A disembodied voice, gentle and cruel, said, "But they were." She turned. There was no one, just herself, but older. Her hair wild, no longer blonde, but streaked with gray. Her blue dress torn, eyes black with knowledge. "We are what's left after she's done playing." Alice's voice cracked. "Who are you? Reveal yourself." A reflection appeared in the mirror with a tilted head. "I'm the memory she buried deepest, the truth you were told to forget. I am Canedra." Suddenly the mirrors around her came alive. Reflections stepped out. Dozens of Alices, each carrying a version of her pain. One held a blade. One held a stuffed rabbit, its head twisted backwards. One held a bottle labeled, "Drink me," and the liquid inside was screaming. They began to soggle her. "You left us. You lied. You forgot. You chose this." The ground beneath her cracked. A great chasm of silver opened, and from it rose a monument, a mirror the size of a cathedral, its frame bone, its glass liquid, and in it her mother, her real mother, crying. "Come home, Canedra. Please." "Mom?" "She's not real. None of them are," the reflection said from the mirror. "This place stills what you love. It feeds on memory. You stay too long, and you become the echo. Echo. Echo." Alice reached toward the glass. Her hand passed through. It was warm. On the other side, comforting. Home. But then she felt it. Hands pulling her in. Dozens clutching her wrist, her throat, her heart. The mirror screamed as it cracked. She wrenched herself free. The mirror exploded. Silver shards shot through the air like knives, slicing the reflections around her. Each version of herself fell to the floor, melting like wax. And standing behind the last broken mirror was the Queen. Her voice was low, furious, trembling with wrath. "Ah! You remember." Alice nodded. Her eyes glowed now. The name had taken root. Her voice was strong and grounded. "I remember everything now," the Queen hissed. The ground quaked. The mirrors burst one by one, echoing like 1,000 funerals. You were never meant to survive, Alice. Then why do I still hear the clicking, Queen? The world twisted. The sky cracked open, blood rained, the mirror grave collapsed, and the two of them, Alice and the Queen, were falling once more, this time together. They landed not on the ground, but in the beginning. Chapter 8. The Hollow Court. The ground they landed on was black glass, cracked, still bleeding from where the mirrors fell. Alice, Canedra now, rose slowly, her hair matted with ash and starlight, her eyes glowing with the memory of every broken version of herself. The Queen stood across from her, no longer towering, no longer composed. Her crown flickered. Her skin, cracked porcelain with red lightning dancing beneath it. They were no longer in the forest, or the tower, or the grave. They were in the Hollow Court. A place whispered about but never spoken aloud. Where Wonderland was born and where it would die. The court was shaped like a cathedral open to the rotting green sky. Great columns twisted upward, etched with faces that wept black oil. Stained glass windows shimmered in impossible colors. Bone white, screen blue, hemorrhage red, each one depicting a moment Alice had tried to forget. There were no walls, only shadows that formed the illusion of them. And before her stood the court. Thrones lined the perimeter, each carved from a different material. One from teeth, one from melted wax, one from bone and barbed wire, and seated upon them, the forgotten royalty of Wonderland. The Watcher with no face, the Duchess of Thorns, the whispering twins, the veiled judge, the marionette king. Each a nightmare pulled from a child's terror and stitched into reality. They rose, overlapping and echoing like a church choir in decay. The girl has remembered. She must be judged. She must choose. She must end or begin. Alice stepped forward, her voice steady. Her voice was assertive but weary. I didn't come to bow. I came to finish it. The Duchess of Thorns whispered with petals falling from her lips. Then bleed your truth, child. The Watcher with no face gave a guttural growl. What name do you claim? Alice was fierce. I claim Canedra, the first, the forgotten, the seed that you buried in rot and mirrors. The Queen stepped forward, her voice cracking like old wood, shrieking with bitterness. You are nothing, Canedra, a glitch in the dream, a lie I should have crushed while you were still in your crib. The court hushed. The marionette king rose, his limbs twitching on strings pulled by unseen hands. But she isn't dead, is she? The king asked. No, she's right here, and we all remember her now. The ground began to shift. The entire court groaned. A storm was rising. One made of broken clocks, screaming birds and names, all the names. Canedra, Alice. The court shattered into movement. The veiled judge slammed a gavel of bone. She must face her reflection one final time. The last trial, the true self. Alice, Canedra. Her voice was low and resolved. Then bring her. From the shadows, a figure stepped forward. No face, just a body of smoke and lace and blood and teeth. The true self. It walked like her, breathed like her, but where Alice had soul, this thing that looked so much like her had hunger. It lunged. They collided, blade against blade, memory against memory. The court surrounded them, chanting ancient words in forgotten tongues. Each strike opened a rift, showing moments Alice had buried. Her mother's death, her first lie. The first time she said, I love you, and didn't mean it. The first time she looked in a mirror and didn't recognize the young girl staring back. Alice screamed, You are not me! The true self, voiced like rust and silk. But I am what you left behind. The Queen watched and smiled. The court leaned forward. And then Alice did something unexpected. She dropped her blade. She stepped forward. And she embraced her shadow. Like a whisper, like a prayer. I forgive you. The shadow screamed, melted, folded into her, and Alice, Canedra, became whole. Light exploded through the hollow court. The columns cracked. The throne shattered. The Queen screamed, shrieking as she fell. No! I made you! Canedra, rising, said in a divine voice, Then unmake me if you can. She raised her hand. The Queen burst into 1,000 petals of glass, each one wailing as it disintegrated into ash. Canedra stood alone now. The court was gone. The storm was gone. Only her breath and the sound of ticking, slowly. For the first time in Wonderland's long and bloodied history, time stopped. Thank you so much. We hit that live goal. Who got us there? Thank you so much. Chapter 9. The Last Door. The wind was gone. No more ticking. No more riddles. Only silence. And the echo of her own steps. Kenedra walked through the ruins of the hollow court, now nothing more than ash and glass. Her reflection followed her in the puddles of blood, turned mirror, but it no longer faltered. It walked with her now, whole. The sky above her was no longer blood red, no longer made of bone and breath. It was still black and infinite, but peaceful. For the first time in this twisted world, the stars looked back with mercy. She followed a narrow corridor of broken columns and vanished screams. At the end, in the earth itself, was yet another door. The last door. It was unlike the others. No symbols, no screaming faces, no riddle etched into bone. Just a single phrase carved in the wood. To wake or to remain. Kenedra's voice was soft and tired. This is it. There were no guards, no queen, no Cheshire, no Mad Hatter, only her and choice. She placed her hand on the wood. It was warm, alive, and it pulsed beneath her palm like a heartbeat in sync with her own. The door began to whisper, not words, memories, a mother's lullaby, a child's laughter, the smell of lavender and smoke, the cold floor of a hospital room, the taste of iron, the weight of betrayal. Then 2 voices. One, her mother's from before the world broke. Her mother's voice was warm and pleading. Come home, Alice. Come home now. The other, the Queen's, echoing from the grave she left behind. Stay, little shadow. Wonderland is yours now. The door pulsed brighter. A handle emerged, gilded in silver veins. If she opened it, she would return to the world above, to the pain, the truth, the trauma waiting like an open wound. If she stayed, she would rule, alone, but in peace. Kenedra's voice choked back grief. What if I don't want either? What if I don't want to be there? And I don't want to be here? The door did not answer, but then a sound, faint, real, footsteps on hospital tile, a voice calling her name. It was a man's voice. Alice. Alice, can you hear me? Please, come back. A light flickered beneath the frame of the door. Real light, fluorescent, cold. Home. She reached for the handle. Her hand trembled. Behind her, Wonderland stirred one final time. The wind returned, soft, carrying a single phrase, whispered by many voices unified. "We'll be waiting for you, Alice. Canedra." She opened the door. White. Too bright. Too sterile. She gasped. Wires, machines, monitors, hands on her arms, voices crying. She was in a hospital bed. Her mother was gone. Her father gone. Her body scarred, thin and shaking, but alive. Her eyes fluttered open, and the nurse beside her wept. "She's back! She's back, doctor!" But something in her heart still ticked. A faint sound only she could hear. And when Alice turned her head to the nightstand, there it was, a small cracked pocket watch, still ticking. Tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, ticking backwards, still waiting. Chapter 10. Alice. Rewritten. It had been weeks. Outside the hospital, the world was unchanged. Cars still honked. Phones still rang. Rain still fell. But inside her, inside Canedra, everything had been rewritten. She never told anyone what she saw. Not the Black Rabbit, not the Garden of Grins, not the Hatter or the Queen or the House of Hands, not the court, and never, never the mirrors. At night, when the world was still, she would wake with her heart pounding, her mouth tasting of copper and roses. The dreams still came, never gentle, never gone, but she didn't fear them anymore. She knew them. She had lived them. She had won. She returned to the house she grew up in, large, dusty, quiet, full of echoes. In her childhood bedroom, beneath the floorboards she used to hide secrets in, she found a box. She didn't remember putting it there, but inside it was the pocket watch. Still ticking. Tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, tock tick. Still waiting. She picked it up, felt the weight of it in her palm, A voice whispered from deep inside. A soft, nostalgic voice, perhaps the Cheshire. Wonderland is never gone, Canedra. It's just beneath the floorboards of your mind. Ha ha ha. She smiled, not because it was over, but because she remembered. She began to write again. Stories, letters, maps. She rewrote Wonderland, not as a dream, but as a war that she survived. Each page a scar, each word a resurrection, each chapter a reckoning. She did not call herself Alice anymore. She signed her name with ink the color of midnight, Canedra. And sometimes at the corner of her eye she still saw the Queen, smiling from the glass, waiting. And so concludes our tale, my night dwellers. A girl lost in a dream, and a queen forged in shadow. Was it a dream? A curse? Or a memory that you've buried too? We may never know. But remember this. You can fall down the rabbit hole. You can bleed in the garden. You can face the Queen. You can lose your name. But if you survive, you will write your own ending. My stories burrow deep, where they cannot flee, through mirror shards and shadowed tree, where queens still grin and clocks still chime, and blood is written into rhyme. Let riddles rot and madness be, and remember this. In the darkest corridors of your nightmares, you belong to me. You do. Pleasant dreams.
Bye.